Okay, let's move on to Moneyball here, which this portion of the broadcast, I was about to say, Matt, podcast is brought to you by Styles Electric, proudly serving East Texas from offices in Longview and Mount Pleasant. Styles Electric has delivered reliable, professional electrical services for more than 25 years, from school districts and universities to civic organizations and commercial projects across the region. Styles is proud to power the projects that help East Texas grow and thrive. When quality, workmanship, and trusted experience matter, choose Styles Electric, service that speaks for itself. I didn't want to mention here, this is going to be a very short Moneyball this morning, but I didn't want to mention and talk about the World Baseball Classic, which has reached its semifinal stage. And the game in particular, I don't know if you got to see it with all the basketball and church stuff going on yesterday and last night, Matt, but man, what a game last night between the Dominican Republic and the United States. And I've been saying this, to be honest, this is really of all the World Baseball Classics that I can remember, this is the one that I've watched the most. And so I want to put that little caveat out there. I don't want to act like I'm a super fan of the WBC. But this has been intriguing to me, again, because it's almost like you can see an end and you don't want it to end. And I'm afraid baseball's headed for a gigantic, long work stoppage by this time next year. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that's kind of the storm clouds that are gathering there as well. But what a game last night. Did you get to see any of it, particularly the ending?
Watched almost all of it. It was kind of a nice little, sometimes you need to cleanse your palate, right? You've eaten too much of one thing, and it was a nice little basketball cleanse. My younger son, CJ, was really wanting to watch it, so we got home from small group. It was about the bottom of the first inning when we got home from Bible study and watched almost all of the game. It's electric, and I will be the first to admit I don't watch a lot of World Baseball Classic, and I did not come into this one anticipating watching very much of it, but was really locked in on the game with Canada. This was the one I've watched the most of, but I mean, of course, playing the Dominican was in Miami. Is that right?
Yeah. Lone Depot Park, which is our backdrop today
it felt like at times a home game for the Dominican, which was kind of crazy, but just a wonderful atmosphere. Baseball. This is what I'll say about baseball is, and you and I know this about football, that kind of atmosphere every Saturday in the SEC at a home stadium, you get that, right? So that's what makes football so great. You don't get that, and you can't get that at every single baseball game. But when you do get it at a baseball game, it's as good or better than anything. And that's what it was last night.
I agree. And I did want to mention, and you brought it up, the home field advantage that, and I don't want to say foreign countries because they're not. I mean, they're our neighbors, Dominican and Mexico, right? It was a home game for Mexico last week in Houston. And it was a probably, I don't know, John Smoltz said 60-40. It sounded 70-30.
Yeah.
In favor of the Dominican last night. And that struck me as, I think we do, here in the United States, we do get kind of oversaturated with baseball sometimes, particularly because the season is so long.
Yeah.
There's a lot of baseball fans that I know that haven't turned into baseball mode yet because it's just spring training. And that's okay. I mean, some years I'm one of those. But again, this year I'm ready for it to start. I'm ready to enjoy it because, again, don't know what the future holds. And so that's why it was so disappointing to me last week when, we had the controversy with the Italy game and the things that came out of that. It just kind of seemed like, our Team USA wasn't taking this as serious as some of these other teams. And that's another thing. It's like, 50 years ago, there would have been no question that this tournament couldn't have been played because it would have been a runaway for the U.S. But baseball has truly become a world sport. And so much so that you've got Japan as the overwhelming favorite every year when this thing happens. They've past us in terms of these kinds of things. And it's so hard to get the American players in the major leagues to play in this thing, again, because of the injury risk, particularly of pitchers, and it takes you away from your team in spring training. And I kind of get all of that, but it doesn't do it every year. And it is an honor when you put on that USA uniform and go play. And I'm not saying that because I do understand the business side of it. It just seems to be more of a business side with American players than it does anyone else. But again, and I've kind of likened it to World Cup. It kind of had a World Cup feel again last night, and it completely was that game turned out to be something that it wasn't intended to, or wasn't expected to be. Right? It was a pitcher's duel.
Yeah.
It was a pitcher's duel. I mean, we had no runs scored after the fourth inning.
Yep.
I think Team USA had one hit in the final 6 innings or something like that. But and of course, let's just talk about the elephant in the room and about the final strike call. That was not a strike.
Yeah.
I agree. It was not a strike. But and I just kind of go back to this and I oversimplify it sometimes because I'm full confession here. If it had been my team, I would still be upset about it today.
Yes.
But here's the deal. And I think you agree with me on this. And this is pretty much any sport. Okay. There have been there are occasionally times where you can legitimately point a finger at an official and say, you cost us that ball game.
Yeah.
But they're very rare.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because you go back in that, did it come down to that strike? Yes, it did. Ultimately, that's the thing everybody sees. But the Dominican had a runner thrown out at third, Aaron Judge.
Yeah. What a throw.
What a rocket. And did you see the little I kind of cringed just because of what's happened in the NBA. But they did catch Judge pointing the little gun for third. If that had been the NBA, we'd be talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
But it's not. But so I noticed that. But that happened. And I don't know why you don't send that runner on that base hit to center field. Well, maybe you don't send him because he's the catcher running, which kind of weird to have a player named Austin Wells on the Dominican team.
That feels odd. That feels really odd.
The well-known catcher of the Dominican Republic, Austin Wells.
Right.
But so they held him up, and probably I don't know. I'm sending him down by one with one out. I'm sending the guy. But anyway, you got runners at second, third, and one out. What does David Bednar do? He comes in, exactly does what he did the previous game when he, gets out of a jam and leaves them stranded. Tatis didn't take an extra base after he got thrown out. He kind of
that was why he didn't take that extra base. Yeah.
And so they had their chances in the earlier innings. And I always just go back to this. If you leave it to a point in a game where an official can be human and make a bad call, is that on the official or is that on you?
Yeah.
And so, look, I get it. It was not a strike, but it went the U.S.'s way, and I'm glad as an American that it did, and we get to play for the championship tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that strike a little bit because I'm a big proponent of either go to the automated strike zone or take it off my screen. We've talked about this before. I one or the other. And yep, I'm glad that the team I'm rooting for came on the good side of this. But I want to say just a couple things about this. First of all, Mason Miller's ball, the amount of drop and the amount of break that he has on a pitch, I would cringe if I was an umpire having to figure out how to make the proper call there. Secondly, if that K zone is not up on my screen in that moment, okay? If it had not been up on my screen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I might have thought that was a strike. Where the dot appeared, I don't think did justice to how close that pitch actually was. I feel like the dot looked like it was practically in the dirt. That pitch was not practically in the dirt. That ball was dropping hard. And so Again, it sounds like probably like I'm making excuses like it was okay. I do think it was probably a ball, but I think if that K zone's not on there, you and I are looking at that thinking, what do you think? I don't know. It's close, but I don't know how you take that with 2 strikes. That's kind of how I am on it.
And I agree with you 100%. I had that on my notes as well. And from being around baseball in a lot of different capacities, in that situation, you're always taught, if it's close, you got to swing.
Yeah.
And if you think it's a ball, you have to swing at that pitch. You have to make an effort to foul it off. Even if you think it's a little low, which it probably did look low to Perdomo, who was the hitter in that situation.
Right.
And you mentioned Mason Miller, and for the life of me, of course, I understand why folks don't know who Mason Miller is, because he's played with the Athletics the majority of his career. Excuse me. I don't understand, first of all, why that guy gets traded last year.
Yeah.
San Diego. If I'm Las Vegas or the Sacramento A's, whatever they are now, there's no way I'm hanging on to that kid.
Yeah.
No one has an arm, those kinds of arms that kid can do. I mean, effortlessly hits 102.
Yeah.
And he was off
wild.
last night on his breaking stuff.
Yeah.
But that slider that he threw, yeah, it was a little bit low and out of the strike zone. But I agree with you. Had that box not been up there, everyone now would be saying, yeah, that was at the bottom of the zone.
Yep. Completely.
And you can't, as a hitter, it was close enough to where you can't afford to take that. And again, you leave it in the umpire's hands when you do that. But again, the guys that they're throwing, triple digits at you, and he dropped a slider at your knees. I mean, it's difficult to pull the trigger on that pitch. It really is. And so, I think that'll fade away. I haven't heard a lot, particularly with Albert Pujols. He didn't really complain a whole lot about the pitch at the end, because Albert's played baseball and he understands the chance they had earlier in the game, and it didn't go their way. So, again, proud of the Team USA getting another shot at this thing. The Japanese are not standing their way. Man, what a game that was Saturday. If you watch that, but man, they just got Venezuela took that game from them. I mean, they were down 5-2 and it scored 7 unanswered runs, I think. And so that's going to be a tough out. And then you got these Italians playing again. They play their semifinal tonight against Venezuela. You don't really know what you're getting from them. They're kind of the upstart in the whole deal. I'm telling you, if you're Team USA, you're going to be throwing McLean again, who got rocked by the Italians in the previous game, and then it's either that or Venezuela, who again, it will be a home game for them. It will be a home game for the Venezuelans. So a lot of good baseball here taking place over the next couple of nights. If you haven't been watching the World Baseball Classic, if you can't find it on your TV, it's on FS1 or it's on Fox. Just do that. People are like, I've seen some people say, well, I can't find it. I'm like, it's on FS1. That's what last night game was. So it's not on ESPN. ESPN doesn't carry baseball anymore. So,
and I'll tell you, I'm planning on tuning in to Venezuela and Italy for at least some of it.
Oh yeah, I'm going to watch that one. That's going to be I just love the crowd, man. It's just like, it's good to see that kind of, and you mentioned it. It's so good to see that kind of excitement about our, recognized national pastime, that I'm so desperate to see it from another country. It's good for baseball. It really is. And then, man, we're just a week or a little bit over a week away from opening day, and I mean, it's baseball is in the air, and I'm here for it. I'm just here to tell you, I'm here for it. Baseball and NCAA tournament. It's best time of the year. So that's our Moneyball segment. Again, thank you to Styles Electric for supporting the podcast and sponsoring that for us today.